made the prequel movies. So excited I could puke, but then all that came were tears. That's why we say George Lucas raped our childhood. George Lucas raped our childhood. George Lucas raped our childhood.
Hello again, and welcome to the Gentlemen Uncles. That is Brylan.
And that is Kyle.
And welcome back to our in-depth discussion on the problems with the Star Wars Prequel Trilogy and Lucas in general.
Yes, part number 2. We were discussing the film specifically this time, a little bit more than Lucas insanity. I think we're going to work our way through the films in a chronological fashion, so we'll deal with, here's film 1, 2, and 3, not kind of a general overview.
So, I just want to say I apologize if we insulted anyone last week. Actually, no, I don't. I don't give a fuck. But if any of you were insulted, go ahead and send your hate mail to gofuckyourself at gentlemenuncles.com.
Yes.
All right.
Also, I mean, come on. People, really? You were insulted by us talking about Lucas. Like, you really need to re-examine your life.
Well, you know, we were talking about that last week. There's a lot of people that feel very passionately about Star Wars, and for some reason that extends to Lucas himself.
Yeah. It's just, I think I was reading something, I think it was a Cracked article, that kind of talked about why people get offended over things that aren't specifically about them. And they brought up a good point, more so than what I kind of brought up last week with the, well, maybe to an extent it's a personal attack, but the personal attack aspect comes on where if someone insults something that you like, then someone might take it as saying that they are stupid for liking this specific thing. And we're not saying that at all.
No, I mean, a good example here. I love Stargate. I love the shows, and the movie's one of my favorite movies. I think Dean Devlin and Roland Emmerich are hacks.
Yes.
I think they are just awful at what they do. And I realize that Stargate may not be a great movie, but it's very special to me. That being said, I think Dean Devlin and Roland Emmerich are idiot hacks. You know, I don't give a fuck if someone... But...
True.
The Phantom Menace.
Yes.
It stinks.
It's probably... Well, I don't know.
Actually,
it's tough to
I
say which one's worse
between
Phantom Menace and the second one.
I
Clone
actually
Wars.
think it's the best of the three, personally.
Really?
Yeah.
Better than Revenge?
Well, the cinematography is definitely the best. Even stuff that's CG, I don't know what they did, but stuff looks real. Everything in Clones and Revenge looks like a cartoon. Like, it looks like CG. I could tell what's CG and what's not.
Yeah.
Phantom Menace, there was more of a feel of, okay, they could have been using models or...
Well, and they did actually use a puppet of Yoda in Phantom Menace, which then they scrapped for the other two. So that was better, but...
Don't get me wrong, I don't think that's forgivable, but in terms of what's not offensive to my eyes, I think it's the best.
Okay, I can see that.
Jake Lloyd is awful.
I feel kind of bad for him, though. I mean, yes, he is terrible. I don't know why they decided to cast him, but that movie ruined his life.
It really did. He
never acted again after that. He
got bullied at school.
He got bullied at school for it. Like, you would think you're playing the guy who's going to grow up to be Darth Vader in the new Star Wars that hasn't been a Star Wars in, 15 years, 16 years when it came out, there hadn't been a Star Wars. You'd think that's, legit cred. That's awesome. But no, he was so bad that kids just made fun of him for it.
And what I really don't get is, I guess that Lucas was going for we have a little kid in this, so...
They could have cast anyone who was more talented, you know?
Well, we have a little kid so that little kids will want to play as him, but imaginations don't work that way. You play around and imagine that you want to be Han Solo, or you want to be Lando Calrissian, or you want to be Boba Fett. You don't play around as, I want to be this other little kid. It just doesn't work that way. That, and by the time Clone Wars comes around, we haven't seen the character in, how long is it?
It's supposed to be 10 years.
10 years? So... the character is completely different at that point, so what's the point of even introducing the character in the first movie?
I think...
the way that they did, I mean.
And this could be a big stretch. This could just be... It's possible that they introduced a character like that so that you would... And it didn't really work because of how terrible the actor was, but... So you would kind of develop a sympathy towards Anakin so that when he does become a villain, he's a sympathetic villain.
Well... I can kind of see that, because...
It would have worked if they had gotten a better actor.
Yeah, And, you know, I can understand what you're saying because I kind of consider him to already be the villain in the second movie. That's really the frustrating thing is in A New Hope when Obi-Wan is reminiscing about Anakin and who he was before Darth Vader. Or no, who Luke's father was because he doesn't say that he was his father. But when he's reminiscing about Luke's father, he's like reminiscing like he's remembering an old friend, you know, like they were really close. But in the second and third movies, even before he falls to the dark side, he's a prick. He's a selfish little prick. And
oh yeah, but
Obi-Wan's
the thing is,
just frustrated with him the entire time, and
they do have little moments of friendship and like joking around, like elbow nudge, ha 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 kind of stuff. It's not well established at all, which it should have been. But
well, the problem is the little moments of friendship that they have is them talking about the times that they've been friends. You know, we never get to see Anakin actually get trained. It's all his training happened off screen, and those are the moments when we would have seen them actually be friends. But we don't get to see that.
Yeah.
What we get to see is Anakin being this horny, selfish little kid, and it's hard to imagine.
Completely sarcastic with the guy who's supposed to be teaching him, and rude and conceited, and
Anyway, I'm sorry. Phantom Menace.
No, it's okay. So besides
so
Jake Lloyd just being no good, and like we kind of spoke about last week with Jar Jar being added in purely for slapstick child appeal, and I like the point you brought up about Watto being like, well, why wouldn't they just make an entire army of these guys who were Force immune? And it seemed like... That's my problem, I think, with the first one, was Lucas knew he wanted to do more movies at that point so he could just sell more stuff, but he didn't really seem to have a direction in that first movie. It's kind of just really widespread, and then he started narrowing it down in the second and third ones, but in the first one, it's just so all over the place.
Well, there's... The problems really stem from we don't know who the fuck any of these people are, and it's never established well enough who these people are. Like, okay, Qui-Gon Jinn. I don't know if we're supposed to think Qui-Gon Jinn is not a loyal Jedi. And what I mean by that is... He does so many questionable things.
Oh yeah, he goes against the council and he does stuff that doesn't seem Jedi-ish or
moral.
Right?
Yeah, I'm not sure if we're supposed to think that he is like wavering between light and dark. I don't know if that's the whole point or if he's just poorly written.
I'm gonna go with option B.
Yeah, I mean, more likely
because
some kind of deeper context would be giving Lucas too much credit. But
yeah, and if you look at just all the film, like look at the film as a whole, it's be questionable that one character be written in such a way that actually meant something when the whole rest of the movie is so poorly written.
And the droids, the battle droids bug the hell out of me.
Yeah?
They really do. They bug the hell because they're useless. They're pointless. In the scenes that they're there when the Jedi fight them,
they're just
fodder. They're taken down with such ease that it would be the same as if they're there or not there. You know?
Yeah.
Like,
the only ones that offer some sort of a challenge are the ones with the shields, the droid dickas.
Yeah,
the roly ones with the shields.
Yeah.
Like, those ones, they offer a little challenge. The other ones, it's like, when the guys go into the elevator, and that's actually, I think, in the second or third movie. Okay, they walk into the elevator that's full of battle droids, and it's probably like 6 or 8 battle droids in there, and they walk into this elevator, and then the elevator door opens, and all the battle droids are destroyed.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Or in the third one, when they land on Grievous's ship, and they, like, crash land, and then they hop out and destroy the, like, 6 droids that are there. What's the point of having the droids there? Why can't they just land and then get out? You know, it's the same thing.
Yeah. It's just to have the Jedi fight some more, I guess.
Which is okay, but when you make the enemy troops completely ineffectual, there's no tension. There's no excitement. It's
the argument could be made that the stormtroopers were also completely ineffectual.
And yes, they had bad aim, but
yes,
they had weight to them. Them being there mattered. Like
True, because they did actually succeed sometimes.
Yeah, they were a threat. Like the scene when they're running out of Bespin in Empire and getting chased by stormtroopers, like the running firefight that they have. That's an exciting scene. And it's nowhere near as complicated and doesn't have so much shit happening as anything in Phantom Menace.
In A New Hope, where Han and Chewie, I think Chewie's with him, they're running down the hall chasing one stormtrooper. and they run into a room full of stormtroopers, and they turn around and run back the other way, and then now they're being chased. Like,
yeah,
it's
that's
funny
stuff.
without being over the top, and he's running away from a bunch of stormtroopers. If it had been battle droids, he wouldn't have had to run away from them.
Or the scene where Obi-Wan is sneaking around the Death Star to take the shields down, or the tractor beam, or whatever it is. If that was a scene in the prequel trilogy, he'd just run through and cut up all the droids and then do something. But when he's sneaking around and there's tension and there's stakes, that stuff's exciting.
Stormtroopers who could get in,
It's just a mess. And then there's Darth Maul. And I don't understand the point of Darth Maul. Otherwise.
But
the what's
problem
the
is
point
they
of
kill
him?
him right away to be an awesome guy.
Who is he,
right away.
though? I mean,
he's the Sith trainee.
But who is he as a person? Like, why should we give a damn when they fight?
Because he's badass and he's actually offers a challenge.
But okay,
but he shouldn't have died.
Well, the lightsaber fight between at least the little part where Qui-Gon and he are fighting right before Qui-Gon dies. That and Obi-Wan's trying to run between the little laser field. I don't understand the point of that fucking room at all.
That whole place where they fight doesn't make any sense. But
yeah,
that's just sci-fi. That's just sci-fi architecture, though.
It's just Star Warsy, but I don't like it. I don't get it. But anyway, that scene has the most infuriating moment in the entire movie for me because it establishes in the opening scene or the opening action scene that they can force run when the writer doesn't know how to get him out of a situation. And then that would have come in handy to do when he was trying to get to Qui-Gon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
the fact that they can, there's so many powers that are thrown in once and then never used again. And you're like, wait, but you can do these cool things. Why don't you just? Okay, I guess. Whatever.
It's kind of like the Tick. You remember the Tick?
I do.
His superpower was contextual convenience. His superpower was whatever he needed it to be at the time, and that's how the Jedi's were. That one little moment, it was whatever they needed to have at the time, and then. Whoop.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much wrong with it, and I don't know. I think there's just so much wrong with that first movie, and then all the Jar Jar stuff, all that. One thing that I remember when I was watching, specifically, I was like, when first Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon follow Jar Jar down to the Gungan City. Mm-hmm. Qui-Gon's explaining to Boss Nass that you and the Naboo are a symbiote circle, and what happens to one will... No, they're fucking not!
No, they're not.
They don't interact.
They're completely isolated, silly...
So,
and they're on the other side of the planet.
Yeah. Literally, you have to go through the planet core to get to the Naboo city.
Shouldn't Naboo be dead, like a dead planet? If their core is water,
full of water.
That means the planet can't be seismically active.
Which is, I don't think that necessarily means it's uninhabitable. I think the habitable has to do with being in the right zone away from their star and having an atmosphere. And they obviously have water.
But, there's no mineral, they can't... Maybe that's why the blockade is so important, because they can't have any kind of, natural resources, because they wouldn't have any, new minerals coming up to the surface, because there's nothing pushing them up there.
True. But it's not, from everything you see, it doesn't look like they mine anyway. I mean, their whole planet's this big, beautiful place, so... But that could be, I mean, they just don't have anything, so they need to get everything, which is why it's, Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't fucking care. Another thing that really doesn't make sense to me. So the Gungans go to fight the droid army, right? And then Amidala goes to get the Viceroy because then the droids won't know what to do if they capture the Viceroy, which doesn't make any sense.
I think it's more to capture the Viceroy to force him to turn the droids off. But
that happens when they blow up the ship.
Yes.
So why did the Gungas have to go and sacrifice all their lives if the droid army was going to be deactivated when the ship blew up anyway?
Because they weren't sure they would be able to blow up the ship. If it hadn't been for Anakin, the ship wouldn't have blown up because all the other guys didn't know what to do. And Anakin did it accidentally, but... But
the Gungas lost anyway.
No. I mean, they were on the run, but maybe they could have regrouped. I don't know.
Whatever. But
it was an excuse to have lots of big fights with lots of CGI.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. And there was something else that pissed me off, but I don't remember what it is because there's so goddamn much. But that's pretty much it for Phantom Menace. I mean, we could go on for hours, but
there's just so much wrong with it that it's kind of... This is what we can remember off the top of our heads being terrible about it, but it's basically everything. The second one...
oh, God.
The Attack of the Clones.
Okay. This goddamn movie. Okay, you cannot dispute. This movie looks like a cartoon. It looks like an episode of the Clone Wars. Like, the CG is, I don't know what it was. The CG looks really cheap.
I think it was maybe because, I don't know if he filmed the first one in digital. I don't think he filmed Phantom Menace on digital, and then he started filming on digital in Attack of the Clones, and that could be, because I think he filmed the first one on film.
That might be it.
That
they also had
really
real
does.
sets in Phantom Menace.
Yeah. So the whole love story thing is just not believable, which is disappointing because I really do respect Natalie Portman as an actress. But the love story between the two of them, neither one of them plays it well. The lines are poorly written. It's just not a real love story.
The whole concept of it doesn't make any sense. Because they've known each other, like really known each other for what, like 5 days or something?
Well, I think it's supposed to kind of go into a little while. I don't think it's just days. It might be.
Well, yeah, that's one problem. How, like, what span of time is this movie supposed to take place of?
Well, because I know that once Obi-Wan has to go do his thing, then Anakin is supposed to have gone back to Naboo with her and spent time just hanging out with her and taking care of her and whatever. But still, it does seem rather sudden when they're about to get killed on Geonosis. I think it was Geonosis. Yeah, the planet with the bug people.
Yeah.
They're getting taken out into that big arena, and she's like, yeah, I have to tell you right now because we're going to die. It's killing me every day because I love you. You're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Every day since, like, he came back? Really? So she had been obsessing over this 8-year-old, and then all of a sudden he comes back, he's 18, and she's like, yes, I'm in love with you.
That, and, okay, let's look into at least what we see. He is a sarcastic prick to her on Naboo. Then they go to Tatooine,
and he kills a whole shit ton of random innocents.
He commits mass murder, and
admits it to her.
Yeah, and then she's in love with him. What? I don't
because she saw his vulnerability when he was upset about having to kill those people because his mom got captured and died. I don't know. It's the poorly. I think that love story, quote, quote, is kind of tied for worst love story ever with Twilight.
Yeah, but at least Twilight had some, like, lead into it, you know? At least they met each other and courted and, like, had an actual, like, relationship. I would have accepted it if it was just lust driven. Like, if it was about them fucking like rabbits, and that would have been more believable, you know.
But they only kiss like once or twice before she's like, yeah, no, I'm in love with you.
Yeah,
that's it. So, and then they roll around in the grass one time, like,
and
still one of the worst lines ever. Hold me like you did by the lake in Naboo. Really?
See,
really?
I think I truly, deeply love you. That's bad too. It makes my head hurt.
The whole love story is terrible.
Okay, and we're going by just the movies, yes? Not the extended universe at all?
Yeah. Just the movies.
Are the stormtroopers, by the time we get to A New Hope, are those stormtroopers still supposed to be clones?
Yes, that's why Leia says, aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper? Because the stormtroopers are all the same height because they're all clones.
If that's the case, then where do the officers come from? Did they sign up? What were they drafted?
Yeah, they signed up.
Who were they?
Or they're just guys who want to... The thing about the officers is, because the clones were made to just be obedient and whatever, the officers are the guys who are the commanding officers. They're the ones who come up with the plans. They're the ones who, like, command them. So you need officers to control this army of just followers.
Okay. I just... That's my main problem with the clones being... The Clone Wars referring to the Republic coming up with a bunch of clones. Because, number one, they're disposable people. Who gives a fuck how many of them die?
Yeah.
So you have these gigantic battles, but they're against machines and tube people. So who gives it... Like, as an audience, we have no reason to care what side wins over the other.
Correct.
That, and I never understood... Like, they talk about how the conflict was a result of being unwilling to listen. And just like the trade dispute thing in the first one, I don't understand what the grievances were with the Separatists. Like, what were the Separatists' problem? What did they want? What was their goal?
The Separatists were the Trade Federation and the Robot Federation
and a whole bunch of other
the Tech
people.
Union, and like, yeah, they were all just manipulated by Palpatine and Dooku to
do what?
Cause
to want what?
Palpatine
though?
was playing both sides so that he could create. Palpatine needed a war so that he could get the Senate to vote him powers to make him put him in a place where he could could become the emperor as opposed to just being the leader of the Senate. He wanted unlimited power, and that was how he got it, was manipulating the situation on both sides to create a war so that he would get martial law and then just never give it up.
I get that. I mean, it's essentially the same plot as the first movie. It's Palpatine's creating a political crisis to...
Well, it's a continuation. Yeah, exactly.
But I get that, but what is the situation that he's manipulating? That's important. I mean, if that's the entire, genesis of this conflict that leads to him gaining power, what is the situation that he's manipulating? What do they want? What do they want that they aren't getting that they're pissed off about? Or is he just going, hey, I heard those guys over there said that you're a jerk. Oh yeah, well, they're jerks. No, they said you're a jerk. What's going on? What is he doing? That stuff's important.
Yeah, I would say it's just one of the shortcomings of Lucas not actually having thought it out, you know?
Okay. I'm gonna, I need to not focus on plot elements because, the answer is always gonna be, well, that's Lucas.
Yeah, that's Lucas fucking shit up again.
Can we talk about Jango Fett's targeting?
What do you mean?
You want to say that
who he's
stormtroopers
trying
can't...
to kill?
No, you want to say that stormtroopers can't hit anything. That scene in the asteroid field when he's chasing Obi-Wan, he's literally hitting every molecule around his ship. He's like, burr, 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 burr. He's got that rapid-fire laser gun,
right?
And he's literally hitting everything. Like his lasers are exploding somehow, next to and behind and all around Obi-Wan's ship, but he can't hit him. He just can't hit him. And I don't get and I understand that Obi-Wan's supposed to be a great pilot, but
because he was, evasive maneuvers.
But there comes a point where it's just like, what?
Yeah.
I don't...
And, okay, going back to the problem I had, one of the many problems I had with Armageddon. How can you use a sonic pulse bomb in the vacuum of space? Being a sonic bomb implies that it is creating a sound shockwave. Perfect for water, perfect for on land, but in space, there's no shockwave. There's nothing for it to propagate the wave through, because it's a fucking vacuum.
I don't know.
Yeah, which was my other problem. Well, I mean, that goes back to one of my other problems with the re-release that Lucas did, and when he changed the way the explosion looked of, the planet and the Death Star and stuff. No, why would it explode like a figure 8 with a ring through the middle? That doesn't make sense.
Because it looks cool, man. Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Kaboom! Yeah.
Look how cool this is, guys. Look, I changed it. It's cool now. Dude, it was a planet blowing up. That was cool anyway.
And, okay, here's something I don't understand. I really don't understand. Jango Fett was working for the Separatists, and they wanted...
He was, yeah.
They wanted Amidala dead because that was Newt Gunray's condition for joining, right?
Yes, because he was pissed that she had beat him last time.
So... Okay, arguably, yes, Jango Fett's a bounty hunter, but arguably he could probably make an effective assassin if he put his mind to it.
Theoretically, that's...
Why did he have to hire another assassin to kill him?
Because he was trying to get degrees of separation so he wouldn't be implicated.
But then...
Because he wasn't ever supposed to... The thing was, technically, for all intents and purposes that everyone was supposed to know, he lived on Camino and never left. Or, although they make the reference to how was your trip, which doesn't make any sense because he was supposed to just be staying there. But he's trying to build an alibi. If he has someone else do it, then he's got an alibi.
Yeah, but then he just says fuck it and uses a weapon that's extremely specific to the planet that he's on, to the point where someone can tell what planet it comes from just by looking at it.
Oh, the little darts, yeah.
Yeah, and then it shows himself in full view to the two Jedi that are investigating the attempted assassination.
But he had a helmet. People couldn't see his face.
Oh, yeah, that really stopped Obi-Wan from tracking him down.
Well, if they hadn't had those darts...
And he had to go to the fat Italian lizard man to...
That's just an overarching problem with the whole prequel trilogy is how many stereotypes can we fit in?
Yeah, you
have the Jamaican pigeon black guy in Jar Jar. You have the Asian Trade Federation. You have the Italian diner owner. You have
the Armenian Middle Eastern...
the Armenian Watto junk shop owner. It's...
Sith.
Yes. Okay, here's one of my big problems with Sith, and it doesn't come till late in the movie, and this is kind of just a problem with the Jedi throughout the prequels. Obi-Wan says to Anakin, only a Sith deals in black and whites, or deals in absolutes.
But they kept wanting to bring balance to the Force by killing all the Sith.
Right. Well, but also, just think about that sentence. Only a Sith deals in absolutes.
I mean, I understand the core of what he was trying to say. That
yes, but he was making an absolute statement.
Yes.
While claiming that he didn't make absolute statement.
It's almost as if the script was rushed out on a legal pad after one draft, and then they started filming.
Hey, could be.
Honestly, it feels like a toddler wrote some of the script. It really does.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry if you think Lucas is a genius. I really am sorry.
Yeah.
I don't understand what you're judging that. Like, what criteria you're making that judgment call on. I don't understand what you're doing. You can love Star Wars. It's great to love Star Wars. That is awesome that you have that thing that you love. But
deifying Lucas is completely absurd.
Especially when he clearly doesn't know what he's doing.
Right?
Like, well, okay, here's an example. Is everyone in the Senate stupid? And I asked that. I mean,
perhaps
I know it's
his heavy-handed message about politicians.
And I'm sure that's what it's supposed to be. But there wasn't a single time that a few systems went, can we launch an investigation into these unilateral decisions that you're making? I understand that he's supposed to have supreme powers at that point during the war, but making blanket statements and wiping out the Jedi completely on his own.
Yeah.
No one once said, do you have any proof?
Well, no one knew about that, wiping out the Jedi. That was like his secret plan.
Okay, no, I don't mean like planning to wipe out the Jedi. I mean when he marched into the temple and burnt it down, that you could see on the other side of the city.
Well, at that point, the only Senate meeting that happened after that was him saying, "Hey, fuck you guys, I'm in charge forever." So
and
there really
no one
was
had
an
a problem
opportunity. Well, people did kind of have a problem with it. Well, no, because no, that's true. No one had a problem with it. Everyone was cheering because that line that Amidala has. So this is how liberty dies. With thunderous applause or something like that.
So
everyone's
Senator
like, yay,
Organa,
the first galactic empire, yay! Wait, guys, you're all out of jobs now.
Yeah, Senator Organa is the only one that seems to have issue with it.
Yes, except I don't think that he completely dissolved the Senate at that point. He just made it into an empire because in A New Hope
they're
at the beginning he's just finally dissolved the last remains of the Senate, and now the system, governors will be in charge directly. So he didn't quite completely dissolve the Senate, he just made them more of a figurehead body.
Which I don't understand how that changes the Senate, because you have
well, now they don't actually have any, they govern their own systems, but they don't have any say in the overarching laws of the Galactic Alliance, or the Galactic Republic, or the Galactic Empire, that's right.
But how does that change day-to-day life for the people in the systems? It doesn't really. It just, these people aren't in charge now, this guy's in charge now.
Yeah, but now, I mean, I would assume they could actually vote for their senators, and now they have no say in them being ruled.
Yeah, I guess. But this is again another thing. We could have seen that. It could have been shown, but it wasn't.
Yeah. I mean, it's far too much trade discussions and politics and like this isn't a Tom Clancy book. This isn't a John Grisham book. This is a science or a space opera. Like, tell us a story about
kids,
sci-fi.
though.
Don't tell us. Yeah.
It's supposed to be. Yeah, I thought these movies were supposed to be for kids, but especially Sith. There's violent decapitation. There's child murdering. And I love. Yeah. There's killing children. But this movie's supposed to be for kids,
Yeah,
right.
Well, it's showing that he's a bad guy. He killed children. He's a bad guy.
I want to know what... never mind. Fuck it. It just...
Well, the whole thing with when all the Jedi get killed, when Order 66 or whatever gets put out, and this goes along with, shouldn't you guys have seen this coming, that we talked about last week? Even if they didn't see it coming from afar, the Jedi have been established to be pretty badass. They should have gotten their spidey sense a-tingling when the clone trooper leader right behind them got a message that was like, hey, you need to kill that Jedi now. They should have kind of been on alert. Almost every Jedi gets just snuck up on and completely destroyed without really putting up much of a fight. One of the biggest... Except for Yoda, because he felt it all when they were all being killed and they didn't get to him fast enough, and he probably still would have made it. Of course he would have, because he's in the next one, but I mean, theoretically, he's strong enough in the Force, whatever. But I think, and maybe there's one other Jedi who puts up a better fight, but the best fight that's put up by a Jedi is that 12, 13-year-old kid who comes running out of the temple and actually takes out a few of the stormtroopers before he gets killed.
Yeah, well, and there was Penis Head. What's that guy's name? The guy with the penis head with the beard, or the big mustache, the old guy.
I don't know what his name is. Yeah, I know who you're talking about, but I don't know what his name is.
He put up a little bit of a fight before he got cut down. But yeah, it was that
Yeah.
13-year-old kid. Well, here's the problem. They talk about how some Jedis are getting overconfident in their abilities. That's a good thing. Or it's a good thing for them to have confidence in their abilities, because when you don't, and you rely on the Force too much, then you don't have any common sense. The Jedi should have seen it coming. They should have seen everything coming just by common fucking sense. They should have gone, okay, this guy is unilaterally gaining more and more power, and he's doing things over and over again to gain more and more and more power. This is probably going in a bad direction, and we should probably start doing something about it. But we're not gonna, and we're not gonna plan for any kind of contingency whatsoever. We're just gonna trust these troopers that aren't really given orders by us. They're given orders by this one person, because the Force isn't telling us that something bad is gonna happen.
Exactly. If you shouldn't just rely on your Force.
No,
you need to rely on common sense as well. Because they're supposed to be wise. And wise people would use common sense just as much as they would use the Force.
It's like someone saying, I'm not going to go to the hospital for this broken leg. I'm just going to pray and have God heal it. Okay, yes, prayer is great, but I'm sure God still wants you to go to the hospital. You know, you can't just sit back and let whatever extra sensory thing you believe in take care of all your problems for you. That's lazy, and that's just as bad as anything, as anger or fear or whatever.
True. Here's the thing, though, and this is the argument that, I don't know, what is it, Christian scientists or whoever don't believe in the hospital. The argument is, if your faith is strong enough, then you will be rewarded for having strong faith. So, I guess you could parlay that over into the Jedi being, hey, if your faith in the Force and your trustingness of the Force is strong enough, the Force will warn you and you'll be attuned to it.
And I understand that, but there's a great parable that I heard once when I was a kid. A priest fell in quicksand. He was there for a little while, and someone came up and said, let me help you out. And he said, no, it's all right, God will save me. So the person left. And then another person came up and said, let me help you. And he said, no, God will save me. And eventually he's up to his head in the quicksand. And the third person comes up and says, please, let me help you out. And the priest said, no, it's okay, God will save me. I have faith that God will save. And eventually he dies. He drowns, and he goes up to heaven, and he asks God, why didn't you save me? And God says, I tried to 3 times, but you rejected me.
Yes.
And
yes, I've heard that before.
It's
valid.
It's very valid. The real world
because you don't
matters.
know, you don't know what sort of way, the old saying, God works in mysterious ways. You don't know if God is out there and is trying to help you out with what you're asking for. You don't know how that's going to present itself, so you need to do something for yourself. You can't just sit back and expect things to be handed to you just because you're praying for them. Like, you still have to do your own work.
Exactly, and same goes for the Jedi and the Force. Just sitting back and waiting for the Force to tell you, hey, you should go arrest Palpatine. Have some common goddamn sense and see that Palpatine is systematically taking all the power for himself, and that's not going to leave any room for you when he's culminating all that. You know?
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, I mean, even at that point, the Jedi are supposed to believe in the balance, even though their sense of balance is the opposite of balance, but whatever. They're supposed to believe in balance and all that. Wouldn't it kind of appear that this guy is pulling things out of balance? So if nothing else, you should go talk to him and be like, hey dude, maybe you shouldn't be Emperor. You should give your power back to the Senate so there's a little balance.
Yeah, I'm just gonna bring one more thing up, and then we should probably wrap it up. Unless we want to do 3 parts, but we should probably wrap this up here, because I'm getting fucking sick about talking about Star Wars. But the one thing I want to bring up is, okay, they couldn't get Anakin. The whole thing happened essentially because Anakin's mom died because they couldn't afford to get her from Watto. Yes? If they had at least bought her freedom and let her go live her own life, things would have been much better off. Yes?
Well, because then they had gotten her off of Tatooine. Because in Attack of the Clones, it's revealed she was free. She ended up marrying the guy who had bought her, and she was free, and they were in love, and she was out. They would have had to get her off Tatooine. Just giving her freedom wouldn't have accomplished it.
If they had bought her and moved her to Naboo or moved her to Coruscant, things would have been much better off. Yes?
Yes.
So why?
Unless you want to go with the whole predeterminism argument that she was going to die no matter what, so that he would
fuck off. Why, at the end of Phantom Menace, when they were doing the celebrating thing and they gave the Frogman the glowing ball, they probably could have scrounged up the cash and said, hey, this kid that just saved us all, his mom's a slave, why don't we go take care of that? No, we're just going to leave her there for how many years? Never go check up on her again, never go see how she's doing, until 10 years later, we need to go to her slave owner and find find out that she was freed at some indeterminate time in the past.
The thing is, he wasn't allowed to go check up on her. I think it almost seems like, at least in the prequels, becoming a Jedi is kind of like taking the black in Game of Thrones. You give up all claim to family, you give up all claim to, like, personal relationships. You are just in this order, and your job is to protect the realm, the galaxy,
But I thought only a Sith deals in absolutes. If you're
I know.
absolutely rejecting your... And that can't be the case, because if that's the case, how could Obi-Wan have had that old friend that owned the diner that he could have gone to for information?
That wasn't family.
No, but... And it didn't have to be Anakin. It didn't have to be Anakin. It could have been Queen Amidala who said... Or
Somebody,
it could have been
yeah.
the Senate. It could have been someone who said, hey, this kid just saved us all. How about
Or,
we
I
make
mean,
sure his
checked
family's
up
taken
on
care
her
of?
throughout some time.
Yeah, how about we make
Like-
sure his family's taken care of? Or something. But
yeah.
no.
Sometime
Anyway,
over the next 10 years, go see what's up.
Yeah, anyway, okay,
Yeah.
you know, I'm done with
So-
this. Next week we're getting back to our roots. And talking about the worst of the worst, the bottom of the artistic barrel, and
That is still good because of how bad it is.
yes, we're going to be talking about The Room, the Tommy Wiseau abomination, which I'm sure a lot of you have heard of. It's a name that's just sort of out there, even if you haven't seen it. I'm sure a lot of you
Yeah.
have heard of it. So tune in. Yes,
It's gonna be good. I've only seen parts of it, but it is quite legendary in the bad movie knowledge base.
for the Gentleman Uncles. I have been Kyle.
And I've been Brylan. We'll see you guys next
And-
week.
May the Force be with you.